Good afternoon, good afternoon. If it's noon where you are, or if it's morning, I pray that your morning, your afternoon has gotten off to an amazing start. But if not, hit that reset button and simply start all over again. So many of us are facing different trials and tribulations and persecution and struggles. And we wake up as God allows, saying to ourselves, what's next? What's now? If you are in that season and you're saying, Yolanda, I just don't know how much longer I can go through this, how much longer I can take this. Remember, Jesus was also on an assignment. And he was on trial for something that he didn't even do. Can you imagine being on trial for something that you're not guilty of? But through it all, he stayed the course. In the Bible, it said he could have called the angels down to save him. But he didn't use the power, he didn't use the resources that was available to him, because he understood the importance of his assignment. And many of us have been called to a specific assignment. And oftentimes, God's assignments, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to almost be like a laughing stock. It's just like you hearing about a fire or an accident and it's local. Or you hear some commotion on your block, and what do? You hop in the window because you're trying to see what's going on. You're driving by trying to see what's going on. You're on your bicycle, you're trying to see what's going on. You're on feet running, trying to see what's going on. You may be in that season where people have drove by. People might have been on foot, trying to see what's going on. You may be the topic of discussion. People's trying to find out this and people trying to find out that. But I come to encourage you, to let you know you are on display for God's glory. No, it doesn't feel good. I'll be the first one to admit it. It doesn't feel good. You'll go through a season of being uncomfortable, uneasy, doubtful, fearful. Yes, fearful. But it's something on the inside of you that is saying, I got to stay. I got to keep pushing. I got to keep getting up. I have to keep showing up. That's what Jesus did. And he was so uncomfortable that it said in the Bible that he went back 3 times praying, asking the Father to pass the cup. Get someone else to do it. But it was silent. Are you in a season and you're going through and there's silence? So then Jesus realized the cup was not going to pass. He realized that no one could fulfill that particular assignment but him. And you and I must get to the place where we realize the cup is not going to be passed. And that the cup was personalized with your name on it. And can't no one else drink from it but you. It may be a little bitter, may be a little sour. At sometimes it may be a little sweet. But nevertheless, stay the course. I understand. I can relate. I'm right there with you. I'm in a season where God is saying, I just need you to trust me. I know that's out of the norm for you. I understand that you're uncomfortable. I understand this is not how you roll. I understand this is not how you show up. But now I need you to understand it's glory time. And your faith must be tested. Your faith must be proven. Your faith must go on trial. I have to put you on trial because I need people to see is what you saying out of your mouth is true. That you really trust me. Because either you're going to be found guilty or you're going to be found innocent. And I don't know about you, but I want to be found innocent. So I wanted to hop on and share this quick word of encouragement to those that may be on a specific assignment and you found yourself uncomfortable, you found yourself agitated, you found yourself aggravated, you found yourself frustrated, you found yourself over it already, you found yourself wanting to do it your way. God is saying, be still and know that I am God. And beside me, there is no other. I don't care what you try to do. You're not going to be successful. When you've been called to a specific assignment, I don't care what you do. It's not going to work. Stand still and see the salvation. Stand still so you can see the glory of God. Thanks for hopping on. I pray that you're able to come all the way in the room. But to those that wants to sit outside, I'll try to speak a little louder so that you can also hear and get this word, because you may have found yourself in this season of being tested. You know, we say a lot of things out of our mouth when we're trying to sound good, when we're trying to sound impressive, but when it's time, when it's time to be tested, when it's time for the words that have came out of your mouth to be on trial, it shows if we are a man or a woman of our word. The title of today's word of encouragement is your faith tested. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm saying exactly how it is, but I did put it in the title. Faith tested. I don't know if that's, like I said, I don't know if that's exact word for word, but that's what we're going to be speaking on. Your faith being tested. And the reference scripture we're going to be using is 1 Peter 1:7. 1 Peter 1:7. And I'm going to do a little reading, and then I wrote some notes that I'm going to be going over. Hope you can stick around. If not, just catch the replay. And God bless. We're going to get on into this. 1 Peter 1:7. And I'm going to read this out of my my commentary. Peter mentions trials and suffering several times in this letter. All believers face such trials when they let their light shine into the darkness. We must accept trials as part of the refining process that burns away impurities and prepares us to meet Christ. So the fire is necessary. It's burning off the things that can't go where God is trying to take you. As gold is heated, impurities float to the top and can be skimmed off. Likewise, our trials, struggles, persecution refine and strengthens our faith, making us useful to God. So it's necessary. The refining, the struggles, that's necessary for us to be useful to God. Instead of asking, why me? Making us useful to God. Wait a minute, hold on. Instead of asking, why me? We should respond to suffering with a new set of responses. Confidence that God knows plans and directs our lives for the good. It's hard to calculate sometimes, but God always provides His love and strength for us. God leads us towards a better future. Number 2, perseverance. When facing grief, anger, sorrow, and pain, we express our grief, but we don't give in to the bitterness and despair. Courage. Because with Jesus as brother and Savior, we need not to be afraid. He who suffered for us will not abandon us. Jesus carries us through everything. So in this life that we have chosen to be a part of, it's going to come with suffering. It's going to come with struggles. That's the refining process. You can't go through and come out as gold without the pressure, without the pushback, without the lies. All of those things is necessary because those things has to be burned off of us and out of us. So going through that fiery furnace is necessary. It's so necessary. No, it doesn't feel good, but it's necessary. And if you look into the Word, there were many people where their faith was tested. But the main ones that stick out to me was, of course, Jesus Christ. The great sacrifice, the great suffering that He went through for you and I. Job lost everything. And the one person that should have stood beside him said, you need to just curse God and die. The friends that knew him, they said, come on, Job, you done did something. You done said something. There's no way you would be going through what you're going through if you had not done something. Come on, Job. We boys, we got your back. You can tell us. We won't tell anyone else. Come on and have a seat. Have you been in a situation? Have you been going through some things and the very ones that you thought knew you was the very ones that was questioning you? The very ones that were saying, come on, come clean, you know you did something, you know you said something. Have you been in one of those situations? Abraham, Jesus told him to get his son and go sacrifice his son. And in obedience, he grabbed his son, he gathered his things, and he went up to sacrifice his promise. Some things God will ask you and I to sacrifice. Some things God will ask us to walk away from. Some things God will ask us to leave behind. Will you obey him? Will you follow his instructions? Will you trust him to that magnitude? Abraham did. He went up, strapped him, pulled out his sword or whatever he had. He was getting ready to obey God. And God said, stay your hand. Don't do it. I got a ram in the bush. I know you're willing to give it all up for me. I know you're probably struggling with leaving this or leaving that. I know this is the way you used to showing up. I know this is how you used to it being done. But now I'm asking you to sacrifice your old way of thinking, your old way of moving, your old ways of showing up. He said, I got a ram in the bush. I want you to do it this way. I want you to go that way. I want you to leave that behind. Are you willing to do it that way? Are you willing to show up that way? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown in the fire because they wouldn't bow. My Lord. They wouldn't compromise. They wasn't going to give in. They wasn't going to do it the way someone told them it needed to be done. They said, if you don't do it my way, if you don't do it the world's way, if you don't do it the way mama did it, if you don't do it the way father did it, if you don't do it the way brother did it, if you don't do it the way sister did it, we're going to throw you in the fire. We'd rather see you consumed than for you to do it another way. So they just said, well, you know, if those are my only options, is to bow, to compromise, to do it your way, to fit in, to be a part of, in the fire we'll go. Because they knew that God was in control of the temperature of the fire. You may be in some heat. You may even feel a little bit of it. But it's not going to consume you. It's not going to overtake you. And when God brings you out, when he brings you out, you're not going to even smell like smoke. Do you hear what I'm telling you? You're not even going to smell like smoke. I know they talking about the flames. I know they talking about the heat. I know they talking about how you looked when you went in. But they don't see what's going on while you're in the fire. They don't see what's being burned off. They don't know what you're going to look like when you come out of the fire. They're so fascinated with you going in and while you're in the fire, that no one is saying, I wonder what they're going to look like when they come out. Actually, they don't even think you're going to come out. They don't even look for you to even make it. Have you ever showed up to a fire and when you got there, you said, if anybody was in there, I know they didn't make it. There's no way that they made it. There's no way nobody could have gotten them out. And you may have heard later that they was in the hospital fighting for their lives, but they still here. They may have a few burns and bruises, but they still here. The doctor's saying, I don't think they gonna make it, but they still here. They told the family, you better come and say your last goodbyes, but they still here. You may be in one of those still here moments. And they don't think you're gonna make it. They don't think you're gonna pull through. They don't think that you're gonna last. They done start making arrangements because they just don't see how you're gonna pull through. And then Jesus shows up on the scene. You may be in a season and it looks dead. And it doesn't look like there is no way, Lazarus, that God can turn your situation around. It doesn't look like there's anything can be done at all. It looks lifeless. Some may say, just pull the plug. Just let them go. But even if you pull the plug, God is in control of life. So you may pull the plug, you may walk away, you may give up, you may throw in the towel when it comes to them, but God is saying they're going to live. You may even feel like yourself, I'm not going to make it out of this. I'm not going to get through this. And you may be at that point where you're ready to stop fighting. You're ready to give up. You're ready to say, it is what it is. But I come to encourage you that God can show up and God will show up. In that moment where everyone is standing around and saying, they're saying and giving their goodbyes. They don't see, they don't know what God is doing while you're laying there, not able to move, not able to speak, not able to get up. God is working something through you, but it's for them. See, they thought Lazarus, they thought he was done for. And Jesus purposely waited longer than he should when he wanted to make sure they just thought Lazarus was just gone. Like he wanted, it was for his glory. But when he showed up, he just said, Lazarus, come forth, get up, wake up. But he made sure that there were certain people standing around to be a witness to say, no, we know he was dead. We know, listen. He started decaying. He started stinking. Your situation is stinking. Your situation is headline news. Your situation is in people's text messages. Your situation is in people's conversations. But you're right where God wants you. Because in his perfect timing, he's going to say, Yolanda, Get up. Yolanda, come forth. My Lord. My Lord. I know some people don't believe it. And I know it's hard to believe. I'm going to get into my notes and get on out your way. If you found yourself in that season, and you're still trying to figure out, how am I going to get through this? God is not asking you and I to try to figure out who he is. We can't figure out God. His ways is not our ways, neither his thoughts. So you will wear yourself out trying to figure out which way God is going, because the moment you think you got it pinned down, he shifts. The moment you think that's the way he coming, he turns. You won't be able to figure God out. And you say, well, Yolanda, I'm very uncomfortable. I just don't know how much more of this I can take. I got people talking about me. I got people coming up against me. I'm losing things. God is saying you're not losing anything. Because anything you lose, I can replace it. Because everything belongs to me. It doesn't make a difference whose name on it. Everything belongs to me. So you don't have to fear about what you're going to lose, what's being taken, what was took. You don't have to worry yourself with that. God is saying, I'm going to use what you have left. I don't care what they come and take. I'm going to use what you have left. Our faith has to be tested and proven before we can testify of God's grace and goodness. No one likes to be tested, because sometimes it comes with pain, discomfort, discouragement, you're feeling forgotten about, etc. But as Christians, our faith must and will be tested. The book of Job let us know he also was tested. Not only was his heart on trial, his faith was on trial as well. And he was vindicated and found not guilty, and was able to testify of God's grace and God's goodness. How can you testify to God's grace and goodness when you haven't been tested? When you haven't lost anything? When you haven't had nothing took? When you never had anything cut off? When you never had nothing removed? How can you now you can testify when you got the job and you got the money, but really you referencing your job and your money and your credit cards. But your faith being tested is when those things is removed. Will your testimony still be as strong if all of a sudden you lose that good paying job, where you no longer have that money in the bank? Look at what they're doing now. Look at what they're trying to do now. Look what they're trying to stop now. What you going to do then? Our faith has to be tested before we can testify of God's grace and his goodness. Our faith is tested so we can help, so we can be a help to one another. Whose faith has not been tested. Your faith being tested is to help those that's behind you, those that are talking about you, those that are running you down. Your faith is being tested for them. So when they are in a season to trust God, they'll remember what you did and how you moved and how you showed up and how you didn't give up, how you didn't throw in the towel. So your testing is not for you. It's for those that are behind you. People can only receive help from the ones whose faith has been proven. It's not good enough to yell you have faith if it has not been tested. But a truly tested faith shuts up the mouth of Satan, because Satan is the accuser of the saints. He's the accuser of the brethren. He's the accuser of God's chosen. He always trying to make God look like a liar. So in order for God to prove who he is and that he is a man that he don't have to lie, he have to use his chosen vessels. He said, okay, since you think they're going to curse me and die, Job, okay, put them to the test. You can touch everything, just don't touch their life. And I guarantee you, they're going to stand. Job went as far as to say, naked I came in this world, naked I'm going out of here. Some folks think they're going out here with everything that they possess. But you're going to realize that you're going to be naked. You're going to be just like you came in this world. When people try to convince you to abort your assignment, and it's out of ignorance, they don't understand the things of God. They don't understand that God will tell you to stop working that job. They don't understand God will tell you to leave this and to leave that. They don't understand. It don't make sense. When God told Noah to build that ark, now you know there was people standing around and talking about him and making fun of him, saying it don't even rain here. Like, what are you doing? But those was the ones that perished. Because they was too busy making fun. They was too busy laughing. They was too busy pointing the finger. And what did they do in the midst? They got left. They got destroyed. So be careful what you're laughing at. Be careful who you're making fun of. Be careful who you're tearing down. Be careful who you're trying to destroy. Because that person may be on an assignment to save you. So be careful. Genuine faith is long-lived. Short-lived faith is no faith at all. Either you have it or you don't. It's just that simple. It just is what it is. There's no faith. No. Either you have it or you don't. Short-lived faith that is terminated after one encounter with difficulty is no faith at all. The moment you start going through and you abort, you have no faith at all. When you start going through challenges and difficulties and you abort, you have no faith at all. Baby, you got to be able to stand. You got to be able to stand. If you're standing all by yourself, Jesus realized that the disciples could only go so far with him. There's some people that's going to only be able to go so far with you. And then the rest of the time, they're going to be asleep. Rest of the time, they're going to walk away. Some of the time, they're going to turn their back on you. But you got to get to the place where you say, sleep on. This is my assignment. This is my journey. This is my fight. This is my battle. I'm on my own. My faith is being tested. I got to show them that I believe in the Father. I got to do this, even if I have to do it all by myself. Name one Christian and their faith is not or has not been tested, and I will show you a Christian that's not a Christian, that's not a true follower. You're going to be tested. You're going to be put on trial. We're not greater than Jesus. If he went through, if he sacrificed, if he suffered, who do we think we are? We're going to go through too. And if you're not, I'm going to tell you like my grandma used to always say, keep living. That day going to come. That season going to come. Even though you are fighting the good fight of faith, you will have those that will not believe what God is doing in your personal life. Some people's going to make mockery. Some people are going to say, well, that's not That's not how I did it. Some may say that's not how the world says to do it. But at the end of the day, how did God tell you to do it? How did God tell you to show up? David, after he going to go fight Goliath, here comes somebody trying to say, man, you need to put this on. You got to do this. You got to make sure you have that. And God just said, just take 5 smooth stones. David said, look, I got to take this stuff off. This stuff is too heavy. This stuff got me sweating. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling anxious. Because you're trying to do it how somebody else said they had to do it. You're not them. God wants us to stay in faith to prove the enemy is a liar. No matter what your situation look like outwardly, God is trying to prove that Satan is not trustworthy. When Satan comes to make you feel cold, weak, or defeated, remind him that you are victorious because Christ is victory. You got to remind that devil who you are and who you serve. You got to get to the point, get thee behind me, Satan. Because I got a mission I got to complete. I got an assignment that I must complete. And I'm not going to let nothing you say, nothing you do, stop me, redirect me. I got places to be and people to see. And I ain't got time for your foolishness. If you confess with your mouth that you believe in the moment you are... wait a minute, hold on. If you confess with your mouth that you believe in the... Maybe I meant in the moment you are tempted, you return crying. Where is your faith? In that moment when you say you have faith and then you are tempted, do you return crying or do you reach within yourself and say, faith, I need you to show up. I need you to take a stand. I need you to be in the forefront. This ain't the time to shiver and shake. This is not the time to bow down. This is not the time to back up. Such faith is short-lived. Genuine faith must go successfully through testing. You got to go through it. There's no shortcuts. There's no detours. You got to go through it all the way. Jesus realized he had to go through it all the way. Even when he had the opportunity to call the angels down to save him, he chose not to do that. He chose not to do that. For you and for me. So some of us are going through some things and we're tired. We want to take shortcuts. We want to go a different way. We want to take a different route. But God is saying you got to go this way. You are finished as soon as you encounter, through your testing. You are finished as soon as you encounter temptation. You speak temptation. You speak, you start saying that you do not have victory. We must walk by faith and not by sight. What we see, because the enemy will show you false evidence of things that appear true, but it's all a lie. It's important to know that Christ is and always will be. You got to know that. You got to stand on that. You got to speak that. A faith that is firm and unyielding is called the faith which removes mountains. Search. Faith is not blocked by obstacles. When you affirm that faith is unyielding. It removes mountains. Faith will block obstacles. What such belief is difficulty is moved away when your faith is activated. It will remove difficulties. Mountains and faith do not coexist. They can't, it's like oil and water. I don't care how you mix them. When it settles, the oil goes one way and the water goes another. Either you have it or you don't. Either the mountain is removed or faith is removed. Do you believe the mountain or the word of God? What is greater in your life? The word of God or the mountain? Be careful of Satan's false accusation that will cause you to abort and not stand on God's promises. Your situation does not have to resemble, look, or appear that God's promise is being fulfilled in your life. But once he gives his word, all you have to do is wait for the manifestation. Wait for the enemy to get tired or get through trying to fight in the spirit what God has already spoken over your life. He's going to fight you. The devil's not going to bow down or back up. And you got to be just that determined, because the promise belongs to you. And either you can fight for it or you can give it up and give it to him. Even if your current situation does not look like what God promised, stand on his word, because God is true and everything else that Satan presents is falsehood and lies. Thank God for his promises being manifested in your life, no matter what it looks like or appear outwardly. Our faith must speak louder than our symptoms or our false realities. And I'm going to say that again. Our faith must speak louder than our symptoms or our false reality. Genuine faith believes in God's word alone. You don't have to do anything else or anyone for the You don't have to do anything else or anyone for the promises in your life to be established. Okay, you don't need anything or you don't need anyone for God's promises to be established in your life. Whatever that's contrary to God's word, remember, it's false. If it goes against what God has said, what God has spoken, what God has shown you, it's a lie. Don't believe it. It's false. No matter what's going on in your life, always acknowledge, declare that Christ is and Christ always will be, period. No matter what. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what you're facing. I don't care what you're up against. I don't care what threats you're receiving. Know that God is God. Know that God is fighting on your behalf. It doesn't have to look like it for it to be. Everyone's faith is tested, down to the one that is having faith for your situation to change. Let me explain that. Everyone's faith is tested, down to the one that is having faith for your situations to change. Don't you know that their faith is on trial? While they're praying for you, Lord, please change their situation. Lord, please do it for them. But God would allow your situation to get worse. So either they're going to believe, either they're going to activate their faith no matter what your situation look like. They still going to say, Lord, I believe you. I believe you're going to bring them through. I believe you're going to bring them out. Your faith is on trial as well. Because God knows that you're not where you need to be in your faith. I hope that makes sense. Did that make sense to anyone? If it did, send some heart sense, whatever. Do that make sense? The person that's praying for you, Their faith is on trial. And God may allow your situation to get worse. Because God is saying, are you still going to trust me even though their situation has gotten worse? Are you still going to trust me? Are you still going to believe in me? Do you think that I can do it? Your faith is on trial. God may allow your situation to worsen to test the faith they say they have. Some people say, I got faith God is going to do it. I know he's going to turn it around. I know he's going to bring you out. And you steadily going under and under. Are you still saying, but I believe God? Do you say, I still trust God? Are you saying, I know he's going to bring you out. I know he's going to bring you through. Your faith is also on trial. Be careful of your posture when praying repeatedly for the same thing. It can easily indicate that you don't have faith and operating in unbelief. Instead of repeatedly praying for the same thing the same way, just begin to thank God for it. Be careful. When you pray for something, he heard you the first time. So now all you have to do is begin to thank him for it. Because when you're constantly saying, Lord, bless me with this. Lord, I need you to open that. Lord, 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 Lord. You're operating in unbelief. Because if you believe him for it, if you believe he did it, if you believe he opened it, if you believe he fixed it, you'll just begin to say, Lord, I thank you. I thank you for doing it. I thank you for opening it. I thank you for changing it. I thank you for moving it. I thank you for uplifting it. Change your language. Change your language. Now you are positioning yourself to receive the blessing. Change your language. Satan may come in like a flood, but don't allow your faith to be moved or shaken. Allow him to wear himself out until he gets tired or exhausted in trying to corrupt, contaminate, destroy, tear down your faith. Just let him wear himself out. Just letting you do whatever he feel like he's big enough to do, because he can't do no more what God allows him to do. So just let him overwork himself. And you stand. You said, for God I live, for God I die. You said, naked I came in, naked I'm going out. You say, if we had to go in the fire, just throw us in there. If I had to sacrifice the promise, let's go up to the mountain, let's get it done. Whatever you need to do, don't allow your faith to be convicted. Stand. If you have to stand all by yourself. Remember, your faith being tested, and you have more than one set of eyes on you. Even though a couple of people's faith have been tested and they have passed, there may be more people's faith being tested. There's a lot of eyes on you while you're going through. And some are getting it. But then there is a few that are still struggling. They're still saying, but I didn't have to do it that way. This is not making sense. Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they trying this? Why aren't they trying that? God is telling you to be still. Because now I'm dealing with their faith. Now their faith is on trial. Why? Because they have the questions. So God is saying, I need you to stay in the fire just a little longer. I need you to stay in that valley just a little longer. I need you to stay in the wilderness just a little longer. I need you to be talked about just a little longer. I need you not to be included just a little longer. I need for you to be overlooked just a little longer. I need you not to be acknowledged just a little longer. I need you to be talked about just a little longer. I need you to be torn out just a little longer. Just a little longer. He knows you're tired. He knows you're frustrated. He knows that you're over it already. But he's saying if you could just stand just a little longer. Just a little longer. There may be more people's faith being tested. And God will allow your situation to remain until everyone that is connected to you pass the faith test. There are some people that's connected to you. Got my grandkids, so you know how that is. There are some people that is connected to you. And God is saying, I need you to stay in the fire. I need you to stay in the wilderness. I need you to stay in the valley. I need you to stay isolated. I need you to stay still. Because they're questioning me. They're talking about you, but they're questioning me. And I got to show them who I am through what you're going through. Stay just a little longer. Be mindful when you are praying. Thank God for the promise. Thank God for the promise. You no longer need to pray for the promise, because praying can insinuate that you don't believe. I think I went through that. If you truly have faith, it does not matter if the promise comes 1 day or 7 days, in a month, 6 months, in 1 year or 10 years. Your faith is what your faith is what determines whether you believe or not. Sometimes I can't even read my own writing. God has made a specific promise, and no matter how long the wind blow or how high the waves beat the boat, which is you're the boat cannot, will not, shall not capsize. I don't care how strong that wind get. I don't care how those waves are raging. The boat, you cannot, you will not, you shall not capsize. You will not turn over. You will not lose. You will not drown. What you're going through is not unto death. It's to prove that Satan is a liar. When Satan said you can't, God said you will. When the devil says you won't make it, God said live. See, there's a battle. It's a battle. It's a fight. You just caught in the middle. It's like tug of war. Have you ever played tug of war where there's a rope and you got this team on this end and you on this end and you're both pulling the rope? That's what it is. That's what it is. So whose side of the rope are you on? Are you on the devil's side or are you on God's side? If Christ dwells on the inside of you, who is actually being tested, you are Christ. Satan is testing the Christ in you. It's not even about you. Sometimes we think we're so important. It's not even about us. We're just a vehicle of choice. We're just the vessel that God has chose to use to put Satan in his place. Each time a trial of faith comes your way, do understand that is not you being proven. It's the Lord. Each trial tests the faithfulness of God. Is the faithfulness of God. Once having your faith tested, you will be able to help and benefit other people. God's heart will be satisfied when we are just determined to allow God to be God in our lives, in our hearts, in our circumstances, in our situation. He's satisfied. He's pleased. He's not caught off guard, but he's not surprised. He stood back. He said, oh, I know they're going to stand. I know they're going to come through. Just like the prodigal son, they said he seen him from afar off. God knows you're coming. He know eventually you're going to show up. He know you're not going to abort. He know you're not going to turn back. He know you're not going to throw in the towel. He's still standing where you left him. And everybody's not going to be excited when you pull through. Everybody's not going to be excited when the doctor said, I think she's going to make it. My Lord. Woo. Stop thinking everybody's going to be happy for you. Some may walk away when they realize you're going to make it. That you're going to be okay. That you're starting to wake up. You're starting to get your memory back. You're starting to get your faith back. You're starting to get your trust back. You're starting to get your belief back. And it may push some people away. Some people may walk away from you because they didn't want you to make it. They didn't want you to pull through. But your story is God's glory. God's heart will be satisfied, and his name will be glorified. Satan's mouth will be sealed, and he can do nothing to you. If you just be willing to just stay the course, no matter how hard it is, no matter how long it's been, no matter who's standing with you or who walked away from you. I challenge you to be like Job and say, naked I came in, naked I'm going out. I dare you to be like David and just show up how God has instructed you to show up. I double dog dare you to be like Abraham and sacrifice whatever God is asking you to sacrifice. I dare you to be like Christ and just let go of everything, even if you have to show up all by yourself. How is God asking you to show up in this hour, in this season? Because things is finna get rough. And if you are not rooted in him, you're not gonna make it. If your foundation is not built on a solid rock, you're not gonna make it. If you don't come into safety under the ark of safety, you're not going to make it. You got to be willing to stick out like a sore thumb. You got to be willing to be talked about. You got to be willing to be laughed at. You got to be willing to be made fun of. You got to be willing to be left out. You got to be willing to be isolated. You got to be willing Because in those moments, in those seasons, you're being tested. Your faith is on trial. And either you're going to be convicted or you're going to be proven not guilty. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to make heaven my home. And I understand his word. He said, if you want to reign with me, you got to suffer with me. You got to go through this thing with me. Every day is not going to be a walk in the park. And I will tell you, if you're walking in the park and you're doing pretty good, I'm not going to tell you not to enjoy the park. But just remember that park is going to lead you to some valleys. It's going to lead you to some dark places. It's going to lead you to some lonely places. It's going to lead you to some empty places. But just keep walking. Just keep walking. Just keep showing up. And do it just how God has instructed you to do it. I had this message. Well, I can't look at it now because I'm on my phone. But I know, I believe it was last week sometime. And I had just been holding on to it. Because I like to know when is the right time to release it. So that those that need to hear it will get it. And I woke up this morning also from a dream, and I'm going to share it. I'm going to get on out the way. And how a young lady that I follow, she was also speaking pretty much on the same thing. What's getting ready to take place is some things we've never heard of. And if you're not focused and have your eyes on Christ, you're going to miss the boat. You're going to miss it. And God is getting ready to start instructing his people how to maneuver, how to bypass certain things. And if you get caught up with, well, that's not how the world said to do it, you're going to miss it. If you get caught up in, well, that's not how mama did it, you're going to miss it. If you get caught up in, that's not how daddy did it, you're going to miss it. If you get caught up in, well, that's not how I was taught, you're going to miss it. God is doing a new thing. You can keep going back to the tomb, but he's no longer there. He's doing a new thing. His message is still the same, but his methods change. And if you stay stuck in the old methods, you're going to miss the now message. Eyes have not seen. Ears, they haven't even heard it. It haven't even entered into the heart of man what God is about to do, what God is trying to do. But it's going to take those that are willing to stand in a dark world. It's going to take those that are willing to say, naked I came and naked I'm going out. It's going to take those that's saying, I'll sacrifice it all. It's going to take those that say, I'm going to go if I have to go all by myself. That's what it's going to take. My dream I had, I was in a store, and I think I had 3 or 4 things I was wanting to buy, and I didn't have enough to make the purchase. So I said to myself, I'll put a couple of things back. And after I put those couple of things back, I was still a little short. And how I mentioned it, I can't really remember how this individual, I'll just say the individual knew. I may have mentioned it, I don't remember. And how this individual, you know how we do, come on. They went and mentioned it to someone else. about the need, about the shortage, and how this individual began to speak negativity. After that, I was going to reach out to this person and be like, hey, I didn't ask you for anything. I'm not responsible because someone else took it upon themselves to come and tell you about it. But I left it alone, and then I woke up. You may be in a season and you're tired and you're frustrated. You're tired of going through. You're tired of not having enough. You're tired of being in shortage. You're just over it. And you may say to yourself, well, let me just reach out and let me just ask. I come to tell you that if that's not the way God leads you, then don't open that door. Don't open up yourself to be hurt. Don't open up yourself to be talked about. Don't open up yourself to be run down. Allow God to lead you. Allow God to instruct you, David. And if God doesn't tell you to make that phone call, to send that text, my advice to you is to leave that door closed. Because when they get through running you down, you're going to wish you had. God is trying to prove to you and I who he is. Because if they come through, they get the glory. But now if God send them, he gets the glory. If they obey him concerning you, he gets the glory. And God got very specific people in the season that you're in that's going to obey him and not question him concerning you. You may say, well, Yolanda, it doesn't look like it. It doesn't feel like it because it's not what you're used to. And you're so focused on being uncomfortable, it's hard to really acknowledge and see what God is doing for you and through you. Because you want to do it this way. You want to do it that way. But God has said, no, you got to do it this way. So you might be at that, you may be at that Red Sea. You might be at the crossroad. You may have your phone in your hand. And you getting ready to say, listen, I'm getting ready to listen. Enough is enough. I done went too far. I done took this stuff too long. Now you going through your recent calls. You looking for their name in the text message. God is saying, I got this. I got this. Because there are some things God wants to just give you. But because you're frustrated, because you're irritated, because you're tired of waiting, you make that phone call. You send that text. Now you're the topic of conversation. Had you just waited, you wouldn't even have to go through that. That's the season I'm in. And I know God, that dream God was letting me know, you getting ready to go through some things. You getting ready to face some things. You finna be even more comfortable. And you're going to want to make that phone call. You're going to want to reach out. You're going to want to ask for help. But this is what it's going to look like if you try to go ahead of me. If you try to go before me, this is what you're going to be faced with. So God is telling you and I to allow him to do it. He wants to do it. He wants the full glory. You're right where he wants you. Don't worry about losing anything. He's a God that can give it all back and then some. Don't worry about who took something from you. He's the God that's going to give it back and then some. Don't worry about who's talking about you and scandalizing your name. He said he's the God, he'll shut their mouths. All he wants you to do is keep your eyes on him and move how he is instructing you to move in this hour, in this season, in this moment. Because we don't have time to play. We don't have time to go back and forth. We don't have time to miss the instructions. The time is vital. And if you blink, you're going to miss it. If you're not in tune, you're going to miss it. If you're not in alignment, you're going to miss it. If you're dabbling in other stuff, you're going to miss it. If you don't have the faith, you're going to miss it. If you don't trust him, you're going to miss it. If you don't believe in him, you're going to miss it. It's only one way that we're going to be spiritually successful. We have to be willing to do it his way. It's the best way. He knows the future. And God wants to set you up for life. But you got to be willing to walk through this season. Sometimes we get so sometimes looking at other people's lives and what they got going on and what they doing and where they going and what they wearing and what they buying, and we start to get discouraged. But everything, you got to understand, everything is not of God. Some people, they just do what they do because they can do it. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Don't get that twisted. But don't start comparing your life with theirs. Because we all have a season that we got to go through. And a person can be on the mountaintop today and asking for visits tomorrow. You don't know. Don't downplay what God is doing in your life. Because what God is doing through you and for you, that's the only thing that's going to matter. And God is getting ready to show who is really his. Everybody think that God is their father. God is your creator. But if you're not following him, if you're not doing his will, you got to understand the devil got children too. The Bible says he's the father of lies. You can't be a father if you don't have children. He's the father of lies, so he got some children. So you got to know who your father is. And God is getting ready to show who his chosen ones are. And you're going to be shocked. You have your eyes on people that are doing this, that are doing that. But let God start testing their faith. Let God start removing some things. Let God start shutting down some things. Let God start taking some things. And you're going to see. Your mouth is going to be left open. Because you're going to be saying, I thought they had faith. Anybody can have faith when nothing is being touched, when nothing is being removed, when nothing is being taken. Anybody got faith then. But where is your faith when he shut it down? When he take it away? When he remove it? I've heard some people say, I still have faith. It's easy to talk that strong when you still have it, when you're still enjoying it, when you can still go buy it, when you can still go get it, when you can still enjoy it. It's easy to say, I do it even if I didn't have it. I know ain't nobody heard nobody talk like that but me, but that's okay. In this season, in this hour, God is testing his true followers. Those that are going to stand, those that are not going to compromise, those that are not going to give in, even if they're thrown in the fire. they determine that they're going to stand. I pray that you got something out of this little word of encouragement, and you found yourself in a season where your faith is being tested. Just know God is trying to get glory out of your story. He understands that you're uncomfortable. He understands that you're tired. But he said, if you can just hang in there just a little while longer. I got some people on trial. They're on the bench right now. I'm trying to convince them, but I need you to hang in there just a little while longer. You're going to be rewarded. Recompense. I'm going to pay. I got your back. If you can just stay on the stand, if you can just stay in the hot seat, if you can just stay in the fire just a little while longer. I'm going to have some people convinced that I am that I am. It's for their benefit. But God is going to reward you for your obedience. Speak life. Speak life over yourself, over your friends, over your family, over your foes, over those that gave up on you, pushed you aside. They said you'll never amount to anything. They said you'll never go anywhere. You'll never make it out. You'll never make it through. Speak life over them as well. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. And I'm going to say a quick prayer and I'm out of here. Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for allowing me to come before your people once again. Lord, I pray that every ear that come across this message, that they realize that their faith is on trial and that their faith must be proven in order to be a help to someone else. Lord, let them not abort the assignment because they're tired, because they're frustrated. They don't have an end date. They don't have an out date. But Lord, let them begin to rejoice because of the reward that's coming after their time of being obedient. And Lord, I just thank you for each and every one that came, that came all the way in the room, that's standing on the outside. Lord, you bless them. You strengthen them. Lord, you encourage them, Lord, to just stand just a little while longer and know that you are about to bless them and to bring them out and to bring them through. Remind them that you have not forgotten about them, but you need them just to stand, just to stay just a little while longer. And their change, their deliverance, their breakthrough, it's on the other side of their obedience. I hope someone got something out of this and you're able now to say, you know what, I got this. I can go a little bit longer. I can go another day. I can go another minute. I can go another second. Even if I have to go another year. Just know God got you. God got you. And the worse it get, the closer you're getting. Let me say that again. The worse it gets, the closer you're getting. You're just about there. You've come too far to turn around now. You've come too far to go back now. Come on, Peter, you out of the boat now. God allowed you to get so far away from the boat that when you look and think about going back, you realize that boat is too far back. I might as well just keep moving forward. You're too far out there now to go back. Just keep moving forward. God got you. Don't worry about losing anything because God is going to replace everything and then some. If you trust him like that, he'll show up like that. I gotta go. Everyone, stay blessed. And thanks for stopping by.